Hey, good morning, everybody. I am so glad you're here with me today. I'm Rita Hickman, body mind expert, shiatsu massage therapist, but my specialty is helping women who are stressed out, who are anxious, who are worried because they're in some sort of toxic or narcissistic type relationship. Maybe they're even the narcissist. And I help them figure out how to control their body and their mind step by step in order to find your inner peace, in order to grow as a person, in order to be a better human being, and in order to, at the end of the day, not feel so stressed all the time and not feel so triggered as often as you are. So today we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety. So anxiety is actually something that your body decides you're feeling. Your body decides for you that you're feeling anxiety. And that anxiety can be triggered by any number of things outside of you, including past memories, because when we have a past memory, it kind of puts a bookmark in our brain for us to keep going back there and keep looking at it until we finally go back to the body and I like to say finish the loop. So our anxiety can be old memories as well. And then every time we have experiences or memories that we don't actually move through our body, we don't allow ourselves to feel or express. And anytime we don't allow the old memories to be felt and expressed, it creates more stress in the body. And that stress is what gives you the feeling of anxiety. So in a perfect world, we would have been taught these things when we were kids, how to manage experiences that could potentially be traumatizing, how to handle high emotional experiences. None of us were taught. People didn't know. It wasn't passed down. This was something that was back in ceremonies and indigenous medicines and cultural medicines and Native Americans and Bushmen and Inuit and people all over the world who were more indigenous. That's where many of these lessons were kept. And they were kept in ceremonies and traditions and belief systems and cultural medicines, but they weren't necessarily shared. Science has finally caught up, and what it tells you is anxiety can be controlled through the body. And you can start to rewind the trauma that you've been living with or has been building up most of your life. And at first, when you start doing this work, things actually seem to be getting worse because your temper is closer to the surface, or you don't have as many problems saying the things that you want to say. But once more of that stress gets expressed, because remember, you're really expressing the fear or anxiety of the moment, as well as any fear or anxiety that's associated with it, that's attached to it in your brain, that your body says, this is the same thing. And so every time you get triggered, you go right back to the very scariest moments in your life. And if they were scary, then you are SOL. That's kind of the way that it is. So when you start to go back to the body, that's how you trigger it. That's how you start to rewind it. And you do it by making the choice early on to do something that makes you feel good, something that flips your trigger from anxiety to calm, something that tells your body that you are calm, that you are safe, that everything's okay. My favorite tools are havening. I've shown everybody this before. It's the stroking of your arms, or it could be your hands or your face 20 times, or the TAT points. I've done them so much that I can imagine them. I can lay in bed in the morning and imagine doing the points without ever moving, especially in that trance state when you're not quite awake yet. And it will deal with and work through the chemicals of stress, which are making you feel anxious. So it's not something outside of you making you feel upset or hurt or anxious. It's that something outside of you is triggering that very same memory or that old experience and making you react in every self-protective, crazy, irrational way that you can think of. Things that you go back later and say, wow, I really didn't understand. And this is why mental, like people will look at someone killing someone else and they will actually look at what was going on, what was being triggered, what emotions were coming up, where were they coming from, what were they protecting themselves from. So we look at the inner landscape of people's brains and people's bodies in order to determine what really happened, because things aren't always as black and white as we would like them to be. So I want to give you hope that your anxiety and your depression and your triggers and your reactions and your bad relationships and your whatever it may be can start to be reversed. You can start to find peace and comfort. And it's not by controlling something outside of you. It's not by trying to control somebody else, because that'll never work. You have to let people be who they are, and everybody has their own path and their own lesson. But you have to start by looking inside of you, by looking at how you're feeling anxious. And instead of blowing it off, instead of ignoring it, doing something, some act of self-love and self-care, something that tells your body that you're okay. So you comfort yourself, or you hang out in nature, or you go for a walk, or you pet your dog, or you look at something beautiful, or you listen to music that you love, or you do breath exercises, or you do body work. You get to choose what works for you, but it has to be something that makes you feel good and makes you feel safe. And what will happen is you'll notice that you start to feel a lot better inside than you ever thought that you would. Things will still come up. Nobody's ever perfect, and you're not supposed to be. That's part of what makes your personality, the same issues that you have. But they no longer control you to the same degree, and you don't have as many sleepless nights or as many panic attacks or as many angry moments where you feel helpless and betrayed. Those start to dial down, and you're able to handle your problems and your mistakes way easier without freaking out because you put a letter in the wrong box. You're able to remember what's going on. You're able to stay more grounded, and you stop beating yourself up for feeling like you're crazy when you're really not. Okay, so I want you to have a great day. Julie Murphy and I are going to be talking in 4 minutes on Awaken Your Relationships. We'll see where we go with this conversation. I hope you have a fabulous day, and we're going to pull a tarot card real quick. Possum. Possum is all about learning how to play dead, learning how to decide how you want to show up in the world, whether it's quiet, whether it's loud, but it's making that decision for yourself and using it. Okay, so Julie Murphy and I in a few minutes. Friday, we're going to have a party for the 7-day challenge. So it's going to be 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. I really want you there. If you want to see all the replays but weren't part of the challenge, go to the link above. You can still join. You can watch the party, see how people loved it, see how it affected them, see the things that we learned, because we're going to do the next one the first week in January, because we want to start the year off right. And I want you to be in the best space that you can for the new year. And this is the fastest, most efficient, most reliable, most graceful, most kind, most loving, most supportive way that I know how to do it. And that's why we're giving it to you, because we need to make the world a better place. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And 3 minutes, I'll see you with Julie.